Hi guys, how are you doing today? Doing a bit of MOBA analytics today, and today I'm going to be talking about champions, dynamics, and toxicity versus progressivity. So, a lot of champions that I would say are bad. I'm a Jin main, by the way. So, a lot of champions that I would say are bad are because of the dynamics required to make them work. Of course, Jin is able to root people, and as long as he himself is smart, then he can accomplish a whole lot on his own. This is why us Jins play Jin. And a lot of people don't because it is so daunting to be smart, of course. It took me a long time to master Jin. I've been playing Wild Rift for 2 years now, and I'm still learning and growing and becoming much better every single day. But I'm here to talk today about champions that I don't play. And again, I categorize these as bad in most cases. And with few exceptions, there are champions that work in most situations, but are in certain situations absolutely awful. So, dynamics, sort of a spectrum here. So, let's talk about what those are. Nasus. Okay, I generally think he's dog, but he's able to succeed in team dynamics that are toxic, and that is because he requires support, and this is the key factor in all of this. It is support. If your team is supportive, if they're also toxic, then they will succeed. Why? That is because algorithms enforce toxic people to support each other, and they force progressives to tear each other apart simultaneously. So that's how dynamics are formed, and you can always observe dynamics in this way to be more on a spectrum than a psychometric analysis. Okay, and this is what I think allows intellectuals to succeed more in this way by understanding what is going on, understanding objectives. I'm not going to get into all of that. Just understand that it's about support. Okay. Now, a champion like Garen or Darius will require more support, so a stronger structure. And this will depend on progressives being in the mix as well as specific champions. So a more rigorous situation, more rigorous dynamics. For Nasus, and although he's a solo champion and a CQC champion, he's also a ranged champion, which people forget. Now, as for champions that I consider decent or good, if you learn how to play them well, in most situations, these champions would be champions like Fizz, Misfortune, Jin. Right, we're talking about most situations. Unfortunately, a lot of champions that you might think are good in most situations are actually very flawed. Champions like Zed. I normally see people either being very good or very bad with Zed. And the problem is that when you see good Zeds and you look at their game's history, you will find that they actually suck a whole lot most of the time. And that's because Zed requires very specific dynamics. He is a weak champion and he's a solo champion. A lot of players shut him down in the solo lane. Again, now, the champions that I consider sort of situational, uh, this is a different spectrum of just viability. Jhin would be at the top. Then I would put certain champions from all categories, like jungle, friend, okay, Yi, um, Fizz, certain supports like Blitz, and Nautilus, I would say, is much worse than Blitz, but he's good for a support, and that's what he's meant for. So he's sort of the Blitz, but for support.
Minions have spawned.
And again, these are on a spectrum. You know, so some champions who I would say are decent are better than others, or worse than others. And there are more champions. What I'm saying is that there are more champions that would go into this category.
You have slain an enemy.
But I don't have the time to list them all. This is simply how you think about dynamics in this way. All right. I hope that this has been educational for you. If I didn't provide a whole lot of information, such as lists, please feel free to fill that in yourself. Who do you consider viable? You know, why? Is it because you like those? You know, I mean, again, I'm a Jhin main. I don't play a lot of other champions, but I do understand that they're viable. You know, there's nothing wrong with sort of exploring the viability of their champions.